Cool. Today's episode is episode 2 and best of, and it is the best of the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, which is
The best episode of The Mandalorian so far, Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15.
The Believer.
It was the second to last one before the finale, the big Luke reveal, but this one was the best one, in our opinion, and here's why.
Where it started off and where it ended were 2 completely opposite realities, but it was consistently good throughout. We had a nice story. We had some character development on a character I really didn't like.
The Bill Burr guy. Brought him back from the episode where he had double-crossed Mando, and he was
At the prison station.
Yeah, and he had some prior Imperial experience, and they needed him for a mission.
And I think it was really good that they didn't label what his experience was or what he was in that episode, and they just kind of let it open to breathe, and you kind of could go down this rabbit hole.
It gave you some insight into...
He's ISB, or... What do you think he is? I think he was an ISB sharpshooter.
Yeah, he was... He was a special ops somehow.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a trooper. I mean, he might have been trooper rank, but he wasn't just some stormtrooper. He was a special ops something or other, and was doing some pretty questionable, things for the Empire. And then the incident that he spoke of,
Burning Comp.
Yeah, Burning Comp was just...
The bridge too far.
Yeah. And running into that officer who was the commander of that particular incident...
Triggered his PTSD.
Just triggered him, yeah. Literally and figuratively, because he pulled out his blaster and just shot the dude right in the middle of the room. And I didn't see that coming.
No.
And I don't think Mando saw it coming either. He's standing right there. Oh, now we got to shoot our way out of here. But it was made for a great action segment.
From that point on till the end of the episode, epic. Just the best.
The girls taking him out from the hillside with their long shots and
them shooting as they go. It was because you got to climb a ladder.
And even the opening when they were on the Imperial transport with the explosives, and they were getting attacked by the pirates or the...
They were pirates because they weren't locals.
And that was a great segment too.
Yeah. And
now they were the only one that actually made it back to the base, and everybody was giving them all the accolade, and
now
it was...
Here's a technical issue I have. I don't like those skiffs. But they do remind me of the Power of the Force toy skiffs.
Oh, I thought it was cool. The skiffs they were on?
Yeah, no.
That was...
Because it had one blaster off to a side. So when
it was Star Warsy.
But wouldn't the propulsion system be wrong? If there's the rocket on one side, how could it hover? I'm asking questions.
Oh, well... Star Wars anti-grav tech, everything floats. I get it. And it's got a thruster, but it's just, if it's got the thruster on one side, how does it go straight?
That's what I'm saying.
You'd think it'd go in circles, but I could get past that.
And it wasn't, but I'm just saying, as a purist, you want everything.
Oh no, as somebody critical, who is looking at it and going, how would that thing work?
Yes.
Right. I get that.
Oh, I ruined my childhood.
There's all kinds of... No.
It is how does that work?
And I'm sure that some designer could probably explain it away for you.
Nice.
And
that's fine.
Or it would show up in one of those books.
Yeah.
About the all the vehicles and tech of the Mandalorian, and they would... they'd break it down for you.
And was it done just as an aesthetic? So because usually they have 2 thrusters or one on the bottom.
Yeah, it might have been something somebody thought looked cool when they designed it. Who knows?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, it was a great episode, and especially when he did the kill shot on the whole base. I didn't see that coming at all.
Right, that too, and just and then they let him go at the end.
I figured that would happen.
They came around, and and he came around, and it just it was character development at its best.
Yes.
Because it turned this character that was really an unlikable guy into somebody that wasn't so bad after all.
Now, question.
And even him giving Mando shit about his helmet the whole time until he finally did take it off, and he respected that.
But he proved his point.
Yes,
like there's a rule up until the line.
There's a rule up until yes, and he saw the line, and he saw how important it was to Mando that he would even take his helmet off in the middle of an Imperial facility, just to get those coordinates.
Just to get the kid.
Yes, it was.
So I have a question, and this.
And he looked so awkward sitting there with his helmet off.
Yeah,
it was so great.
Like he had to take a poo or something.
I mean, Pablo, whatever opinion you might have of him,
he did play that one right.
He did that great.
But he kind of looked that way when they took his helmet off in the first season.
Yes, he always looks uncomfortable with his helmet off.
He looks constipated.
Yes, and he should, because he's not used to it. Okay. And even with a droid, he wasn't comfortable with it.
Well, yeah, but that droid was whatchamajigger, so
IG-11, yeah,
was Tycho. So anyway, but I have a question. So this is important. In the previous episode where Boba Fett and Fennec Shane conscript themselves to to the Mandalorian until they get the baby back. I know it's contrived because the Book of Boba Fett was coming out and they wanted to give him a little more, and he was super cool there.
Yes.
But do you feel that it would have been a natural thing for them? Because it's not their problem.
No, I do, because it illustrates that they have a code. They made a commitment to Mando, and they were going to keep it. And that shows they have a code.
I'm talking about the commitment itself. It's really not their problem.
No, it's not. But they did make a commitment.
Oh, no, I understand. But making the commitment, that's my only thing. It's is this something that, the mythical Boba Fett would do? I mean, does that start him down the dark path of why everybody didn't like the Book of Boba Fett?
This is not the mythical Boba Fett that we all, got to know prior to, in the original movies.
In the correct comic books.
He's a different person by this time. And the Book of Boba Fett illustrates why, whether you liked it or not, I did.
Oh, I had no problem with
life-changing.
Yeah. I just didn't like the Vespas, and he's now a town marshal. Yeah,
all anyway. That part. But I like that whole with the Tuscans and how he's a different person than he was before he fell into the Sarlacc, and I think that helps to reinforce that. Is that
doesn't that happen when anybody falls into the Sarlacc?
You would think.
I'm just saying. Wow.
Thank
you. You caught the ball. Yeah.
For him in particular, though.
Well, yeah.
To have lost his armor and then become resolved being a part of this Tuscan tribe pretty much for the rest of his life.
Jawas, dirty creatures, yeah.
Until they were massacred and he found a way to get his armor back and all that. He thought his armor was gone.
So you don't find it too much of a contrivance that they conscript themselves to Mando to go get the baby?
No, I mean everything in fiction is contrived in one way or another, but
is it
I don't think that was too much. I bought into that because
I was like,
yeah.
I know you got a show coming up, and it's cool seeing you, and you blew up those ships, and that stuff's gravy. But I'm just like,
but it was not an unreasonable way to bring him back into the show and showcase him through the end of the season at least,
And then what the problem that creates is that you have this standard that the Book of Boba Fett didn't live up to.
Yeah.
Which I don't care about the Tusken Raiders and the allegory to Dances with Wolves or whoever says that, oh, it's just like that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Anyway, I just don't like the Vespas and how and he was riding a Rancor. That makes him look dorky. And then at the end of that show, They were all there in front of that stone wall, and it looked like it was like the end of a Happy Days episode. You know, and it just was like, what? So so that.
But this is not about the Book of Boba Fett.
But this is
that's a conversation
also,
for another day.
But this is also something that the director of the Wrath of Khan,
Nick Meyer,
he said that a movie or a TV show informs you into the future and also into the past. So you can look at, say, Star Trek 2 and look at the original episodes differently now because you have this new information. Unfortunately, this is what happens also with every other TV show. Like the Book of Boba Fett, it now kind of like, what was or is it, if it's such a disconnect that it breaks the suspension of disbelief, and that you're immersing yourself in that world, and it just makes it flat.
I see what you're saying, and the mods didn't help.
No,
they didn't.
The giant.
I got what they were doing with the mods. I did, and I saw that it was a nod to the mods of the '60s and all that, with their scooters looking like Vespas that were all decked out, just like the mods of the '60s. And I thought that was pushing it. I mean, I took issue with the Coven of Witches in the Acolyte, only because that was the best they could come up with to call the sisterhood there. I would rather call them like the Sisterhood of the Thread, which.
There you go, writing form again.
And because the term witches and coven were just too close to home and too earthly, right? And the mod reference was too earthly that, I mean,
go on.
It was pushing it for me as far as, I understood it, I got it, I did appreciate it for what it was, but I also, like I say, it's borderline pushing it too much into something that is too earthly that, and there is no Earth in the Star Wars galaxy, so there's really no reason to bring earthly references or symbolism into the Star Wars galaxy like that. It
didn't work.
Which I mean could be problematic for some writers because they really can't get out of that headspace, but
they aren't creative enough.
That's
Just
on
say it.
That's on the editing team and
the producer
and the story team who are supposed to review all this stuff and
dinosaurs and feminism is what we need more of.
And I think that they just need to look for things like that more than they do. I mean, I even have a problem with Greek letters and the Greek alphabet being used for like code words and things because there's no Greece in the Star Wars galaxy. So where would those Greek alphabet? Where would that come from? And so alpha this and beta that. I had a real problem with just the fact that the character in the Bad Batch's name was Omega, and because there were two. Boba was the Alpha, she was the Omega, that were the two unmodified clones with the first generation DNA. Just the fact that they called them Alpha and Omega, I get it, but it's still I always take issue with that in the Star Wars galaxy.
Wrapping it up.
But that's just me. Back to Mando though.
The best episode of any series of any of the 3 seasons.
The best one.
And since we aren't going to get a 4th season, we're going to get this movie, supposedly. It's a c'est la vie. So, like, share, subscribe, and tell us if we're right or wrong.
And
Talk to you later.
Tell us what you think. Which episode was your favorite and why?
Bye.